Can you hear me better?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm totally watching Weirdo Universe. The wonder which I'm on.
Liz, or as previous videos mentioned, AJ. What is.
And this Weirdo Universe is having some difficulties. If we're good.
Uh, maybe?
But are we good?
I don't know.
We sound
I
sound
sound fine, I think, but my camera is being weird.
alright. Let us know. Sorry, folks. Technical difficulties.
Yeah, my bad. I don't know what was. It was fine a minute ago. Okay, test it out now, because I can't tell.
Well, I could see you.
Okay, well, if you can see me, then I guess it's fine. I don't know.
You don't see me.
I see you. It's just my screen, like my side on the video itself is like it's this much of like me and then this much of just like black screen.
Hmm.
I don't know what that's about.
But for my perspective, if you ever watch this later on, you'll see you. So.
Yeah, okay. As long as it's fine later, I can work with it.
As you can see, our hairs are out. It's been for in the work world, pretty busy for me. Had a pretty productive week. Of course,
I'm Oh yeah,
great.
I also have news because I finally have a job again.
Yeah,
So it took almost 2 years job hunting for this. I'm happy. Tired of shit, but happy.
but off that out of the way, it's time to continue. Sorry. Hope everyone enjoyed. Let's just restart a little bit. Hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving. For people that will watch this later, and I had my trip with Arizona. Got back Sunday afternoon or evening ish. So
About Sunday evening.
Sunday evening, and then back to work. And you had your first, well, I guess 2 weeks of work. Or
Well, three if you count this week, but yeah, it's been fun. I do apologize for everybody. I've been meaning to try and post more on our account, but it's I've just been trying to settle in at work, so I do apologize. Um, let's see. So while Amon sets up a title for us and whatnot, um, what we're gonna do today is basically we're gonna finish off the Arrowverse. So the big CW series, and we're gonna end it off with doing the what was it? The first series that they aired, I believe.
yeah, I believe that's the first.
Um, but we are gonna finish off with this Arrowverse with Arrow. Um, it's been a while since I've watched it myself, and I think Netflix was saying that they were planning to take it off. I hope not. I could be wrong on that though, but I really hope they don't take it off because it would be nice. But we're gonna finish the series off with Arrow, and then with my improvisation on that, actually, I'm gonna try and do my best to sort of break it down, but sort of get into some stuff that I think would be kind of cool to talk about on the movie, or not movie, series. Thank you for the sudden poster. Holy shit, that's great.
I just searched it up and see what let it roll.
It's cool. I love it.
Just thought maybe
Um,
for people to see what we're talking about.
yeah, it's perfect. Um, so we're gonna be finishing up the CW franchise of the Arrowverse with its own first series, Arrow, which I believe came out just before the Flash series did in like 2012, I think. Again, it's been a while for me, so I
October 10th was 2012 was the premiere.
okay. Wow, I actually guessed the right year on that. Wow. Sweet. Okay. And then we after I do this segment, I think me and Amon are wanting to also do to also talk about a little bit of the upcoming K-pop Demon Hunters 2 film coming out within the
It's
next few
finally
years.
out, folks.
So, with
Yeah.
further ado, I guess we'll get into Arrow now, and um, I'll be taking the lead on this since Amon didn't really get the chance to watch it, but that's all right because I also haven't gotten a chance to watch the Prince series that he
Which we'll
suggested
do
me.
later.
Yeah, which I will do later. Um, but from what I can tell from Amon's enjoyful
I
suggestion on that, I can tell
like
it's gonna already be good.
no like just quick before we actually begin this, but I just want to say for people that have not seen it, Dragon Prince, it's a Netflix series that's been out last year. It was kind of like a well hidden thing because in 2024 there's a lot of big shows and movies, so but I mean people that are into that sort of fantasy land of elves, dragons, kings, queens, the whole like Dungeons and Dragons sort of thing. I want to say that
I mean,
it's
yeah.
quite a series. I was watching it. It's only like a few episodes, 7 seasons long, and it's one of those shows you just watch the first season, then it's going to be like when you get to like 3 or 4, maybe like 4 or 5, you're like hooked, and then they give you the finale. So great character. Wait, we'll get to it, but let's get.
Yeah, we'll definitely break it down a little bit and whatnot after I watch it for sure, which I will try to do within tonight and maybe tomorrow and the next couple days while I'm off. But
But you
um
finish it pretty quick. But with
yeah, because you mentioned it was like each episode was
eight
barely like
eight
30
episodes,
minutes.
each time length is like 30 minutes, maybe a little more.
Yeah, so I mean that's similar to kind of what like the whole Naruto timeline was as well. That it was like barely like 30 or so minutes. All right, well, with further ado, let's get into Arrow. So we know that at least the start of it is a his origins basically. He is going on a trip with his dad and his sister's or his girlfriend's sister. Um, that's a whole nother topic to talk about regarding that department. But so we so during the boat trip, he is basically the party boy at this point. He's the playboy, the rich playboy, prince to his father's company, Queen Industries, I believe it was, or Queen Consultant, Consultant
How you doing?
on my stream.
Yeah.
Um,
Not you meet somewhere or pick me up?
sorry, I'm getting distracted with other voices. Um, I'm on. Help me out here.
Well, okay, I didn't see the full
Her
series.
dad did.
I know how it slowly began was pretty much on. So before he became the known as Green Arrow, I forgot his alias as well. I forgot what he goes by, but pretty much his backstory was he was kind of like he's the son of like a pretty rich family. So they were on a yacht in a boat in like the middle of the ocean, and I don't know, the boat, I don't know, not blew up. It was a problem. They had to abandon. And as they were on their lifeboat, it was him. So he wasn't the only child. It was like him and like two. I think he was the only son, but it was two. He had two sisters,
One sister.
one sister, one sister, and
Um,
his dad was around. But this is where it kind of gets interesting. His dad, which uh, AJ will may break down a little bit, but you can in the series, just the beginning of it, his dad was more I don't know what's the word to say it. I guess upright because because yeah the character before he became Green Arrow, but before he becomes a vigilante, he was more just a party guy. So
like I said, rich playboy.
a rich playboy, but his dad. So it was only so when the boat accident happened, unfortunately, lives were lost, and the one that was alive was the person you see here and his dad. But his dad, uh,
Well, there was four survivors.
okay,
Technically, only one of them though did really come back.
well, come back. Well, technically there was two, but one of them being the dad, and he pretty much killed himself in front of him. But before he did, he said his last words. I don't know, it was like survive, but
Yep.
not the way you think. Like he's telling, like like no survive and you know be good. It was more like I want to put in quotes because it was the way you interpret the word survive isn't about like survive. Of course that, but not in that sense. So
Yeah, I always thought that he was like telling Oliver to
Oliver
survive
Queen
in general.
is the alias or not the
Well, the
identity.
real name to his alias as Green Arrow, or for the most part, it was really just Arrow until like season.
What? And then when the lifeboat got on an island, he was just doing regular survive. But for some reason, apparently the island was apparently a giant mercenary HQ or something.
Yeah, Lee and you, right?
I only saw like the first like maybe 10 or 15 minutes of that, but I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, no, Arrow really started off really slow than the others ever did. Um,
Actually, I did saw the first maybe few episodes, but then I couldn't get into it.
well, I mean, most of it was like I said, it very much did start off extremely slow, and to the point where it was going back and forth between present Oliver back in, I guess you could say, the States, or um, Starling City, which does technically end up changing its name to Star City, but his hometown, and um, his flashbacks on the island of Lian Yu. And not just Lian Yu. Um, through throughout the seasons, we do kind of get more backstory of his m- missing 5 years from his mother and sister, thinking that he was also, well, dead with the father and the other um, members aboard the ship. But we also do get a couple episodes about learning Oliver was in the Russian mob of the Bratva. I think I said that right, at least pronounced it. Um, think of the only best comparison I could think of with that would be like the Yakuza or some type of like really big mafia type group. Um, I didn't really enjoy that piece of his history just because it was kind of some of it the way that they did it was a little forced into it.
Well, maybe just for the viewers, just to give us the sum up of just the big parts that kind of gave this series what it was made, I guess.
Well, ow.
But
That was a lot louder than having it just speakerphone. Holy shit. Okay, so some of the bigger pieces was that for at least season one into maybe early to mid season two was that, or maybe the first like couple seasons was that Oliver as the vigilante is what he kind of went by at first was literally just the vigilante. Um, Actually, no, that's wrong. He went by the Hood for the first couple seasons. Um, for these seasons, he basically followed by his dad's book, which was a list of people that was either corrupt or just straight criminals. So Oliver felt like his job returning back to his the rest of his family was to take on his dad's mission and bring justice. Basically, what CW did for the Arrowverse and for Shirley Arrow was that instead of making a whole section focused on Batman, they made Arrow instead of his comedic, like blondish charm. They made him this darker vigilante version of himself, similar to that of Batman, which was actually a pretty interesting take on the character. I know some people probably don't like that representation, but to me it was actually pretty decent. I mean, it was odd at first because um, the stuff that I'm used to seeing Green Arrow as had a whole different personality. So it was very interesting to see this more serious, kind of ready to be beat up type version, and had basically no kill rule for the most part. I mean, he basically was offing people within the series until I want to say maybe late season four-ish, maybe five. At least the later seasons, he starts to really like realize that there's a better way in dealing with criminals, and not all of them have to be, well, impaled by an arrow. So, yeah, at least that's my take on some of the main focus exactly on the center of the character. I will say something that I found kind of surprising with one of the very much larger roles in his character in the series was that um, there's a whole event throughout the Arrowverse that is called Crisis on, I think it was Multiple Earths, or I don't remember the exact title, but due to this, Oliver himself had to make a choice on saving either the world or his friends, and he managed to figure a way out how to do both. And in doing so, he had to make a sacrifice regarding saving his friends by taking their place so that they could save the world. And he became this entity in the DC universe, basically kind of like the Watcher in some way, with like Marvel's What If. Um, but this entity is called the Spectre, and it's a pretty powerful character in the DC universe itself. At least one of the big hitters, the heavy hitters. And other than that, I think the other major arc was with season 7 to season 8, which was where they brought in time travel into the Arrow series, which I noticed a lot of people didn't. It was actually kind of 50-50 on the audience. Some liked it, some didn't. Some even just thought it was flat out weird. I personally didn't mind it due to the fact that it was just kind of genuinely interesting to get this new character that I don't think was in the comics, but at least brought in for the show, and that was um, Mia Smoke Queen, or she technically went just by Mia Smoke, but after her father, Oliver, dies, she basically takes up the mantle of being the next Green Arrow and part of the Birds of Prey, which gets kind of set up at the end of the entire series completely. And that's really just kind of what I at least genuinely remember from my vague watch through. I could be missing a number of things, so forgive me on that. But um, yeah, so that's my little breakdown improv with it.
All right. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I like even the actors. His first name's Stephen Atwell or Atwater. He had
Stefan Amell.
a ML. He was pretty good trying to get that intimidation voice, I would say.
Oh yeah.
But on to our last subject for the morning. It's finally confirmed. Though we'll have to wait a little longer, and it's fine because, as we know from my perspective, the first one was like a rough draft because it was more like create it, get out there, see what it does. If it does well, we'll make something out of it. And it exploded. So
it exploded very well.
But as you know, when you make certain animations like this, the companies you use, who knows, they like sometimes they might get greedy if they're not getting paid enough. There's all this. There might be a lot of like a lot of stuff could affect it, but they got a year to aim for at least, and that is the year 2029. Yep, 2029. We're approaching 2026. 3 more years. Hey, we got someone watching. Thanks for tuning in. We did a broke down of Arrowverse a bit.
Yeah, I kind of did that poorly, but that's
At least a
it's
good
fine.
decent watch it later. And right now we're talking about, in case you're a fan or any family members of a fan of the K-pop Demon Hunters 2. And I think we're just like thinking the year that it's coming out and maybe possible stories we could maybe see and maybe new songs that could possibly made. Because I had one little thought. Hey, it's Jack who's tuning in. Thanks for watching, man.
Hey,
Thanks for tuning in. I know it's football weekend, but thanks for joining us.
yeah, it like we mentioned. The first one exploded. Um, it did very well within just the first couple days. Regarding the box office, if I'm not mistaken, right, Amon?
Yeah, so Netflix, for Dad, in case you didn't know, this was on Netflix. Netflix not bought it, but they guess they were like, yeah, we'll upload on ours, and they did that. And as it did so well, they thought, all right, maybe just at least just how much it costs to make it. They did little sing-alongs for like a few months just to try to earn more revenue and merch and they got a lot of money from the merch and the costumes for kids and
We're gonna go dancing later on.
even adults even maybe, but they I guess earned at least enough to maybe now continue on since it was so popular. So that's the day 2029. And yeah, I just thought maybe to break it down to know like the year and like probably like possible music or maybe plots, new characters, because we don't know, but at least 3 years, at least know they're gonna actually make a compelling story now. There's a lot of like people that do fan arts do like makes up their own pictures of like either scenes from this show and just improvise it or just make a possible look of what they might want to see. So there's that old perspective, but I don't know why. My other thought was we might get a more. I know. Well, Jack, if you want to see it in the movie, in the ending, this main character named Rumi, she was dealing with a lot of guilt in her life, and she's been kind of like honing it in for so long. And she kind of made a song that was pretty much of a way to like, you're human, it's all right, sort of scenario. Like, oh, not scenario, but that for us a sum up.
It's
And
one of our favorite songs out of the
their
film.
songs. But the interesting part, I think, would be nice. We actually maybe get that sort of version, but maybe we'll get the demon version, like a different evil.
Ooh.
Because now I feel like the only scenario I could think of is like Lion King. Because Lion King, what they did was really magical. It's like you get like the almost like inspiring sad music, but then you get the like evil or like wicked sort of type songs. So it's like they could use the songs they use, but maybe twist it and to make it sound now like evil, like how in one of the songs there's a song for your idol, And there's many ways you can interpret it on the lyrics and the way it shows. But they could do something maybe in that sort of way. I don't know what song would be called, but I feel like because even though as we know, Rumi created this like spiritual net, as we call it, that pretty much suppresses demons into their own like hellish world. But I mean, we did a whole breakdown theory. But let's just focus. So, what do you think, AJ? 2029.
Ooh.
I know that's a wait, but we know if they're making this length of a start.
Well, like I've mentioned or at least that we've mentioned in the breakdown video with the first film, I've said it a lot in that video that I was genuinely more happy watching and getting this than dealing with the entire Spider-Verse drama, which was a lot.
It's like
And
this could have been a year earlier, but I think since if they're still using Sony Pictures for animations, that I think Sony's trying to at least wrap up the Spider-Verse and then give them time to make a story and characters and music, I guess, and then they'll hand off to Sony. But we don't know because 2029 things can happen. But at least we have a confirmed year. It's happening. I feel like this is more of like a good target date to aim for, but you never know, something can develop.
I will say this: when Amon can back me up on this as well, because I've told him this a lot, especially even before we even started doing the streams for our channel, and I believe you remember me saying that I honestly at this point don't even care if Spider-Verse, the final film, gets delayed again, canceled, or whatever. This is my main focus now.
I know you probably want that, but they're going to have to wrap that up and just finish.
I'm going to be glad when they finally get it done because they needed to get that shit done anyways. But dealing with all the drama, I can understand, especially regarding a workplace. It's very difficult, and especially if it's regarding production of a movie or a series or any type of like film production. It's a lot more difficult than just like some work drama in like say a retail position, you know? But it's still just like if there was gonna be that many issues, then you guys should have just said instead of can't or delaying it so much, you guys should have just scrapped it at that point. Because I mean, you were losing the audience the past couple years due to the way they were handling the issue, especially the main issue of what was happening regarding Beyond the Spider-Verse. So again, I'm very happy that we have a confirmed date of a year at least.
We don't know we don't know the date or month, but this is the year they're going.
That's why I was specifying.
And who knows actually? And who knows actually? Since they realized maybe they could now make, since they realized, I mean, well, Netflix actually has a long-term year with them, so never mind.
I would love.
Thinking they're now just throwing in the theaters now, but probably that's not happening.
I mean, maybe that's what they did with the sing-along.
Well, yeah, but I don't know now if whenever this comes out, but I think it's still going to go to Netflix.
It'll probably still go to Netflix, and then maybe depending on how well it does, they might put it in theaters for like a couple months, just to see how it does in there. Then.
So what do you?
Go on.
What do you think? You think like any new characters? You think any? Well, maybe not songs. That's just to be determined. But what do you think we might get to now really see?
I know this isn't really going to be a new character. it is a mentioned thing. Um,
As, yeah, that
yeah, I do have to agree with that, Jack. I mean, they alone made a pretty good amount of money just with them throwing the first one out there with the sing along into the theaters, and they did very well with just that alone. I mean, besides the fact that they originally started it off in on Netflix, but they still made quite a lot of money when they put it even in theaters. Um, it, I feel like that was good because people who don't have Netflix and don't want to spend the money on using it, they could then go into the theaters and watch it that way themselves. So I mean, uh, it gives them a sense of duality, I guess, in putting it both in theaters and on a platform, at least in some way. But I mean, that's just me.
but yeah, I mean,
Um, okay, going back to the thought that I was having before I sidetracked. Um, regarding your question about new characters, again, like I mentioned, I don't know if this would be technically considered new characters because they do kind of reference them within the first film. But I would love to see a whole flashback with Rumi's parents.
like I feel like like we were theorizing this, and then who knows? This might be more their approach, and just making more filler ups, just fill up the holes, to at least give you a way to now when you watch now the first one, and I'll
Well,
start.
that's also what they do with, in most cases regarding sequels, is that they'll kind of fill up some blanks that weren't exactly answered, but were questions for the first film. And so I highly believe that they're going to have some type of flashback regarding what happened to Rumi's parents, get a whole description of if her
What's real?
father is alive, who her father is. I know that they technically said that this film, I think, was going to focus more on Mira and Zoe, though, on their backstory, because they had a very little known backstory to each of those characters. So I would love to also see what happened to, or where Zoe's parents are, where her family is.
I mean, there.
Because, go on.
Just real quick, I just know, like on there's a social media post of the characters animation, and they were just saying, thank you and da 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 da, and they had like people that broke it down to like parts, like there's Genu in the back, but then there's a like a script or some like a paper post that you don't see it, but maybe it could be a new song they're writing, that could be the intro to it. So,
Ooh, okay. You're gonna have to send me that later.
and of course, as you people didn't know, the real life singers were, of course, did their show on the Thanksgiving parade. So,
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
on that.
Yeah, I think you sent me a post where they had somebody recorded it, I believe.
I don't recall doing that.
Or I might have found it and just forgot to save it.
But
That
anyway, back to so back to our topic, our last topic of the day. Or you can continue. You're talking about something.
Oh, yeah, with Zoe. That I want to know about her backstory a bit more because she's the only member of Huntrix that they don't actually give that much detail to, or at least backstory wise. We know that she grew up in Burbank, California. Um, I think that's in California. I'm not great at geography, so forgive me. Uh, we know that she was struggling to live in the U.S. between both her Korean heritage and her American heritage because, again, she was living in America. So I'm curious exactly what her focus is going to be on, if she is going to be one of the top two main things. Because, again, I mean, like I said, they almost had like no information about Zoe. They had a place where she grew up in, her name, didn't even really mention her family. Um, but I mean, she is, pun intended, a mystery. So I'm very curious about what her story is a lot. And I mean, I know Mira, you kind of get a little idea of what her backstory was, but with Zoe, it's, I don't know. I mean, I feel like they could do a lot more with Zoe, kind of explain a bit more about her character, about why the reason she is. I mean, they have like subtle hints to like some things, like the patch on her arm, which was like for, I think you had shown me a post of that where it was talking about that she had diabetes, I think.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I'm very curious on like if like what happened to her parents though is like my main question for regarding Zoe, is that like she's the only one out of the group that hasn't had any of her family mentioned in any
Well,
way.
I guess another thing just to share before we began that I was sharing to AJ here. I saw a post of someone breaking down that, well, it's a theory that I feel like could be possible. So as we know, Mystery is just a quiet character, but has has hair, but covers most of his face, and we don't see its real face until, as you know, in the movie. Well, we don't see it, but at least we know for Zoe when
I
she,
feel like you could probably see it if you zoom in closely on Zoe's eyes,
yeah,
because
but
they did something, or somebody did something where they did something like that, and it like showed like a reflection of what Mystery kind of looked like, but it was too like vague to
I mean,
really
you get to
get
see
a
like
clear
you
image
get to at
on.
least, yeah, I mean, you get to at least see his nose and his mouth a little bit. But one theory that's going around that might be possible because in the Golden music video, could say, um, you can say, uh, people, because they show like she was pretty much like the black sheep of the family, or her parents are a bit neglected just how she is, and but we never know that she wasn't an only child. She had a brother, and the brother only popped up for a split second, and then her part of the music was over. But
Her brother only shows up with the like mom and dad in the basically the photos, technically. But
but
that's with like the golden thing as well, because that does
the
show up
the
where
one like at least speculative theory, which I feel like for me could be possible, because if you watch like the Soda Pop one, you actually, if you look close enough, you actually get to see at least a quick glimpse of his face, of like a small peek. But people are theorizing just the way it's showed in the Golden video, and you can see that face. Look at Mystery. If you get to see at least a quick glimpse at him, there is a possibility chance that probably won't be shown in the second one, maybe in the third one, probably in the third film to like wrap it up, maybe that
I'm calling it now though. They're not gonna be related.
But I just feel like that's the theory I was trying to end off, is that that could be her brother. If he thought that like maybe his sister's getting so much publicity, he wanted that attention. Guima tells him, or spews a lie, but at least spews something that convinces him to maybe have that likeness, or maybe at least some to see him, and he becomes mystery. But it's mystery because he didn't really talk so much. So who knows? That's a possible approach, but we'll
I will
probably
say this: I do love the theories that they do come up with a lot of this film. I do think some of them are as much as reaching as some theories that I've made. Um, but I do appreciate them because it makes it fun, you know. Like it brings out that joy, and it's like, yeah, this could happen, possibly, very possible. They might do this, and others is just like, well, I mean, I know it's probably never gonna happen, but it's still fun to think about that this could happen. Just for them to be like, oh yeah, by the way, plot twist.
I mean, yeah, that's the other thing. They gonna might throw some secrets that we probably don't know. Like if you, of course, when you watch the post, sometimes theorizing the third member of the Sunlight Sisters, which is the parent, which was the Rumi's birth mom and her aunt. Well, wait, maybe not aunt, but
I
well, the
I'm
Sunlight
not even gonna
Sisters was
lie.
through that was before the
I
Rumi.
did have a theory at one point regarding that mystery third person for the Sunlight Sisters, and I think we talked about this too, Amon. I'm pretty sure we did. At least I think I did. I think we did. Um, but the theory was that the unknown member to the Sunlight Sisters could have been like Zoe's mom.
I think I was getting to that. That's what I was getting to. But yeah.
Okay. Well then in that case, I'll let you continue from there.
Okay. But yeah, that was the, as AJ just mentioned, that's one theory. Because if you think of it, maybe not, maybe not by birth, maybe adoption, who knows? But or just a fan, or maybe we know Zoe could have been a fangirl of the Sunlight Sisters, because we know in the movie she actually had little like posters of them. So maybe she was just a fangirl and
She could
joined.
have been.
Yeah, that might be maybe the more subtle approach. But if you want to make things interesting, let's just say if the third member might have been the birth mom, if you think of it, she does have, because I know she has more of the pom pom hair, but if you lay it out, she could have that like fluffiness, and Zoe has sort of that fluffy sort of hair. It's more back, but that's a approach maybe as well. It could be a good twist, because that's another question. Because when the Sunlight Sisters, we know that a lot of theories that they maybe hopefully will show is that during the Sunlight Sisters were like as hunters, doing having this thought that if the Moon and the demons thought this too, but who knows, it could be false. That they thought when the Moon, the spirit web turns golden, it's like a lock, and the demons whenever it can't enter to the physical realm. But as we know in the movie, if you see it, it seems like that was maybe it was a false thing, a false belief, and it's actually more, as Rumi did it, was more like change its color and change actually the way it's supposed to be. As maybe that's where we get the song what it sounds like, but the way it's supposed to be, and you get the little majestic color, like it's like refresh as gold. It might be like it's shiny, but really, gold could mean like all different meanings. So we'll hopefully get that sort of revealed maybe later on. Maybe not this one, because maybe do more flashbacks, but with a little today, we'll see. But without further ado, thanks for tuning in.
I promise I'll also start posting on our account more.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next time.